Ah, yes, here we are once again. And if it's noon Eastern time on a Wednesday, or maybe slightly past noon Eastern time on a Wednesday, that means it's time for the High Noon Hemp Show. Of course, you can watch us in many places, live video or video on demand. Of course, it's on Facebook. It's the Temptations Beach Facebook page, also the Jedi Hemp YouTube channel, and on the old Twitter slash X at Temptations. You can check us out there. Of course, the podcast, Podbean, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and Spotify if you want to go that route. I am Stoner Jesus. You can Google the various shenanigans I get up to on the interwebs on your favorite search engine. He is Beach. He is high above the Temptations in Sharonville, Ohio, at the Hemp Quarters. Beach, how are things this week in the world of Temptations?
Good, good. Sorry, it was little late there. I was like, oh my God, it's noon already. And I hadn't logged on. So here we are. Yeah, we might be 12:01 today. Sorry about that. We'll call it the High Noon in 1 minute show. um, but, other than that, here we are doing our thing. It's true. Remember, folks, the FDA has not evaluated this show for safety or efficacy. And so now we'll go ahead and excuse me, we'll do the I pledge of allegiance, which is I pledge allegiance to the hemp fields of America and to the soil in which it stands. Is planted one seed under the sun with responsibility, sustainability, and thrivability for all. My brain muscle mass went back to the pledge that we said every day at school there for a minute. Sorry about that. I got the two mashed up. It's a mashup. It's a mashup show. I don't know if that's not true. It is not a mashup show. I don't know for sure. I feel like the city voting is probably coming to an end. I don't know. I think it may go into March. I'll have to check. But if it's still going on, don't forget, folks, that we would sure appreciate, and again, you can just go to citybeat.com. We would sure appreciate at least the Green Sustainable Goods Store. Again, that's my Pride and Joy Award. When I win that one, it makes me feel very validated in what I've been doing for the last 28 years or so. We're also previous winners of the Smoke Shop, and then we'd also like the CBD Retailer. Again, I would like to win that one. I don't believe we've ever won that one. I think we might have placed, possibly. Yeah, I know we placed because I know that at least 1 year we placed in 3 categories. Maybe 2 years we've done that, and that would have been that CBD category, I'm sure. And if you want to write in Hemptations for friend of the environment, there is no better friend to the environment than hemp. And so we believe that without a doubt. Again, that would also validate why I choose to have the largest selection of hemp on the planet at Hemptations, one way or another. And so there you have it. Once again, you go to citybeat.com, and we would love once again the Green Sustainable. That's my pride and joy. But we'll take Smoke Shop, we'll take CBD Retailer, we'll definitely take Friend of the Environment. That would really make my day. Even if we got, I think, enough people write us in that we make the list. Because I'm not even sure that we're on the list right now, but we need, you have to write it in at the top when you go to the best of one way or another. So do it. We would love it if you did, I'm sure. All right, well, let's get on with the product spotlight here. We got another good show, that's for sure. This first one, these are actually Planet Everywhere planters, and so I've just recently, I don't know, like the last 5 years or 6 years or so, we've seen these basically they're planter pots, but they're made out of soft material. You just open it up, put your dirt in there, plant your plants. And so, the smaller ones could even be used as, a little basket to hold your keys. You can really use them for anything. They were originally designed after soft planter pots. Um, and so, but again, you could pick whatever size you really wanted, small, medium, large, for the most part, and put whatever you wanted in them. You could use them for to display your fake fruit on your table if you wanted to, or your real fruit for that matter. I mean, I shouldn't say fake fruit, your real fruit. Put your real fruit in the basket. It's a fruit basket too. The small ones could be by the front door. I'll put your keys in there and stuff, or a little change thing. The possibilities are endless. At the end of the day, when you're done with it, you can fold it up, put it in a drawer, put it out of the way, be done with it, and bring it back out when you need it. And so, again, those were made here at Planet Everywhere Manufacturing. How about a Doobie's dog toy? Dog toys are great, especially when they're made out of hemp. And so, this one I believe's got a little squeaker in it. So I'm sure your dog will be happy to remove the squeaker from the insides, as
Yeah.
mine does 9 times out of 10. But anyway, if I think clean toys for dogs are just as important as anything. And so being made out of hemp, it's not like there's any pesticides or herbicides used on it, and all those good things. So get yourself a dog, a Doobie's dog toy. This is a little can there, a High Life, something like that. So maybe you need a little storage container. How about these hemp composite storage containers? It's got a little, you basically just pinch the sides and the top slides open. They're about 2 inches by 1.5 inches or so, just kind of a little thing there, just a nice little container to carry your cannabis, your legal cannabis, whether it's CBD flower or THCA flower or Delta 9 flower here in the state of Ohio, because it's legal. That's a nice little container. You don't have to worry about your containers being smell proof anymore. And so I don't know that these can be touted as smell proof. They seal pretty well, but you don't even have to worry about that anymore, because guess what? You can smell like cannabis in Ohio, and it's completely legal. And hopefully if you live in a state where you can smell like cannabis, whether you got a medical program or whatever it is, I think everywhere. I don't know if there is a state that doesn't even, even if it's the industrial hemp, you can smell like industrial hemp flower, which smells, just like Delta 9 flower for the most part, CBD, whatever it may be. So, get yourself, and then once again, if you're ever done with it or you break it or whatever, just chuck it out in the backyard, and they are biodegradable. It will break down and go back to the earth, unharming it. No need to take it to the landfill. That's one of the beautiful things about hemp composite, is that most of it, almost all of it that I've seen so far, is at least biodegradable. Some of it's compostable, and that's just a time frame. That just depends on how long it takes for it to break down in nature. Compostable is a shorter time frame. I think that they want it to be broken down in like 60 days or so, 30 to 60 days for it to be compostable. Biodegradable, I don't know if there's really a time frame. It's just that eventually, if it breaks down and goes back to nature, then it's biodegradable. So there you have it. Those are Greenco, I believe. We also have, I believe, their little pre-roll tubes made by them as well. So if you like to use a pre-roll or roll your own in a cone, then those are perfect for that. So. And the last but not least are the Winkin Sun hemp bags. We love Winkin Sun. They're out over in West Virginia. If you're over on the West Virginia-Ohio border, in the middle there where the highway runs, I forget what that highway is, they've got some shops. You should definitely check them out. Really, really cool. Dedicated to all things hemp. And they're also a guitar shop as well. So they have a great collection of not hemp guitars, just regular guitars. But if you're into guitars and hemp, I feel like there's probably no other better place to go than Wink and Son Hemp Shops. And so these are some nice little bags. Just carry all. You could almost call it a purse if you wanted. Either way, nice little bags. We love them. We love them. All right, there's the 4 from the store. Now the one from my door, which I carry with me all the time, most of the time. If I go out with my backpack, it's always in my backpack. But this is actually my hemp handled knife. So you can see there closely. That's the hemp shiv right there. That's Kentucky grown hemp, made into a hemp knife handle, so to speak. And I can it actually has a lanyard strap, so I can wear it around my neck. I should have worn it in the next segment of the show, I suppose, in hindsight. could have been a part of the next segment of the show. But there it is from my door. And again, it's always in my backpack. So if I have my backpack, and then if I'm out hiking or something, then obviously, and I don't carry my backpack, I do carry this. Again, it's pretty convenient just to throw it around my neck and have it on me in case I need a knife. And I carry a knife. I grew up my grandfather's grandkid, I suppose. My grandfather carried a pocket knife every day, and I carry a pocket knife usually every day as well, if not one of my grandfather's pocket knives. So, having a knife on you at any moment, it wasn't for defense. It was just for general use. I mean, you come across things you need a knife for, and bam, you've got one on you. My grandfather didn't carry a knife because he was used it for defense. He carried a knife because a pocket knife had all kinds of utilities and still does, one way or another. So there you have it, folks, on the product spotlight here on the High Noon Hemp Show. 4 from the store, 1 from my door. As always.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Which, of course, brings us to the most awesome segment in internet history. I have to say, this Guinness World Records thing. Saw 2 stories in the last week from the Guinness World Records people. One was a guy who had over 10,500 separate pieces of Transformers memorabilia, which seems impressive, but it also proves that they're big on personal collections. So I think that Beach's personal hemp collection is impressive, as we prove every week on this show for roughly 5.5 years now. How much more proof they need, I don't know. They have to spend some special person, with a little bow tie or whatever over here, and audit the collection. I don't know what they need to do, but they need to get on it. The second guy built a 22-foot tall replica of the Eiffel Tower with matchsticks, and that was a record. Well, I know they're busy, but eventually I got to think that they'll get around to the largest personal collection of hemp in the world that Beach has. But until then, like I said, we just continue to build the visual proof and make our case every week with the Beachwear segment. All I have to do is one simple thing, which is to ask Beach, what are you wearing, Beach?
Sure, if you're curious, what are you wearing, Beach, when you go back to your Heidelberg alma mater for fraternity stuff? That's right.
Right.
Beach was in a fraternity. Amazing as that may sound. Now, I definitely want to clarify this. Okay, there's only one chapter of Nu Sigma Alpha. Okay, and we were actually one of the oldest literary societies in the entire country. All right, so that being said, we are purple and gray all the way. And so I went back this last weekend for some fraternity events, which made me say, hey, let's show off some purple and gray on the What Are You Wearing Beach segment of the show. So up top there on the lid, as you can see on my head, is a Grassroots Smoking Snowboards hat in a lovely purple and gray motif. My jacket there, that camo jacket. And again, the weather right now is like, I call this we wake up with winter, and by sunset it's spring, because it's like super cold overnight. I feel like we're like desert weather somehow, but it's like super cold at night, and then by 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's 60 degrees and sunny, and it's absolutely beautiful. So anyway, I've got my hemp hood lamb camo jacket. Underneath that, I actually have, as you can see when you see me on the show, my hemp hood lamb zip up um, hoodie. Okay. My t-shirt is an evergreen hemp t-shirt that was made by Mountain Freak magazine. Um, and if there is a God, he did bless the freaks. I can definitely get behind that, um, one way or another. It is true. My pants, those are just naturel, which again made unbelievably nice clothes back in the day. Those pants are probably at least 20 years old at this point, maybe. And so it was definitely unfortunate when Just Naturel folded however many years ago that they did, because they really made some unbelievably nice clothing. In my pocket there, as you can see, as always, Green Spring Technology pen hanging out. My boxers are from Headcase. Again, another classic hemp company. Basically, they just did hats and boxers back in the day, but I have a very decent selection of Headcase hats as well as Headcase boxers still. The socks, which are the knee-high, great for the cold, no doubt about that. They definitely came in handy this last weekend because it was just cold, period. But those are Satori knee-highs, like I said. And then the shoes are, I don't know that I've worn this particular pair of Adidas Sambas on here. I just found these in a box and laced them up. And so these may actually be new to the show. Old to me, but new to the show. So there you have it. If you're wondering what's purple and gray on the What Are You Wearing Beach, now you know, here on the High Noon Hemp Show. Unity through diversity is my fraternity's slogan. And so again, as far as fraternity life goes, I think I chose quite wisely. Either way. So there you have it. Now we're going to check out a little commercial. This was a pretty fun one, I suppose, to make, actually. This was we're with this commercial, we're trying to replicate all of the pharmaceutical company commercials that you see almost every day, all day long. So here you have it, and we'll be back with the news.
For wanting to save the earth? Or a healthy lifestyle? Well, maybe Hemptations is what you need. Hemptations is safe to take in any dose and will not cause horrible side effects. Take when needed for happiness and clean earth. Hemptations is available 7 days a week. Consult your local internet for more information on hemptations.com. Taking Hemptations includes food, CBD, body products, clothing and accessories, paper, pet goods, and much, much more. There is no cure for wanting hemp. Having Hemptations.
Nice. I think that was some of your best acting.
Right? There is no cure for loving hemp. Oh man, I tell you, I have to admit, I'm a pretty good commercial writer when it comes to Hemptation stuff. If I got anything out of my Heidelberg education, which was a degree in communications, TV and radio emphasis, it's definitely that I do believe I do write I do come up with some good ideas when it comes to Hemptations commercials. So. All right, I think that I know that I have shown this car before, but this is Bruce Detson's hemp car. It was featured on Jay Leno's Garage Show. He's and I think I don't know if he's planning on or he's actually done it, but I know he was going to drive this around the country and then make a film about driving this around the country. It really is amazing. It was built on a Mazda platform, but again, the entire body is made out of only 100 pounds of hemp, which I just recently learned in this video. If you don't know, I get a lot of my news from an app called Flipboard, which I would recommend anyone that really loves, because you can do magazines, you can do news specific subjects, but I have a Hemptations channel on or a feed, I should say. So you can go to Flipboard, find Hemptations, and then you can see almost every story that I have done on the show. And I get my news from other places too. I get either way, but it's a great source one way or another to keep up with what's going on in the hemp world. But this is actually a little video, and so you can go and kind of check out the video. Now, that 100 pounds of hemp is 10 times stronger than steel. I mean, he like beats on the hood. On the Jay Leno show, he beats on the fender. In this video, he talks about Henry Ford's hemp car, where Henry Ford took a sledgehammer. There's a picture of Henry Ford, famous picture of Henry Ford taking a sledgehammer to the fender of a car. That car was made out of hemp, and it also ran on hemp. And so, that was kind of the influence to building this particular hemp car, which again is just a super unique design, really cool. But it just shows that we should be making the bodies of all cars where we could lighten them, which makes them environmentally friendly, takes less fuel, and they would be just as safe. Or if not safer, to be honest with you. I mean, if this thing is 10 times stronger than steel, if that's really true, and again, his words, not mine. If that's really true, why are we not driving around, all of us, in hemp cars? It's almost unsafe that we have to settle. Not that most cars are made out of steel anymore, because most cars are made out of fiberglass anyway. But I feel like this has to be also stronger than fiberglass. It kind of is fiberglass. It's like its own, just like hempcrete is not concrete. This particular material is fiberglass, but it's not fiberglass. It's like hemperglass or fiber hemp, I suppose we call it, or hemp and fiber. I don't know, but it's quite incredible that there have been some other car makers. Lotus was one that used hemp in their bodies, in their Eco Elise, which is also pretty cool. And then there was supposed to be a Canadian car company that was going to build a car called the Kestrel back in the day, and a nice little tiny little thing that probably got great fuel economy too, but I think that they made a prototype, but I don't think it went anything past the prototype. So, and I'm pretty sure I've shown the Kestrel on the show as well, but never got made. And I discovered the Kestrel, and once again, Popular Mechanic magazine did a story on it, and that's how I found it 10 years ago, 15 years ago, however long ago it was. But anyway, so more cars made out of hemp would be great, not just for us, but for the planet, one way or another. So unique manufacturing. I'm sorry. The article. There is an article titled "Unique Manufacturing Method Produces More Appealing Vegan Meat." Now, what I'm going to do is instead of typing all this onto my sheet, I just have a picture of this, and I'm going to read a good part of this article, which says hemp seed behaves in a really tremendous way. Adds that industrial hemp is used, more specifically, the press cake left over from the hemp seed oil production. So when they press it to get the oil out of it, you end up with this cake, hemp cake. The residue contains a lot of high quality protein. It has fantastic texturing properties and tastes good. The plant can be grown in Sweden, and what is left over can be used for textiles and building materials. I'm assuming this came out of Sweden originally. Used with gluten, the hemp seed acquired a rounded taste and a good chewy texture that was appreciated by the panel. The combination was selected as their favorite. Okay, so they did a whole testing of plant-based meat, vegan meat, and the hemp won. The hemp won. And then the next best rated combination was hemp seed and residue from oat milk production. So the top two placers in this vegan meat competition or taste test both had hemp seed in them. There are hemp seed burgers out there. Go look for them. You might have to have them shipped to you. I have yet to see, and I keep checking at my local grocery stores. And again, I haven't done my grocery store runaround, which is to go to like 3 or 4 of the larger grocery stores here, go down every aisle and just see what hemp foods I can find. But I may make that happen sometime soon. But I always check my local grocery store, and I have this weird thing when I go to the grocery store or any store, even like the hardware store, the big box stores, one way or another. I have this weird thing where I almost have to walk down every aisle. I don't know mentally what that is. Maybe it's because when my mom and I used to go shopping when I was a kid, she walked down every aisle. Of course, the grocery stores were a lot smaller then. But I do have a tendency. I do have a tendency to go to the store and I could go in for 2 items, and somehow I'm walking down every aisle just for whatever reason. And so, in that process, I tend to look for anything that has hemp on the label. And then sometimes it just takes actually grabbing something, if it's plant-based this or whatever, high protein that, I pick it up and I look at the ingredients just to see if it has hemp in it. Because, it doesn't have to be on the label for people to understand that they should put it in all their food products where they can as a benefit to the customers, to the consumer, to the health of the consumer, and all those things. It just should happen. On last week's show, I mentioned in the game Skull and Bones, and I've never played it, but this is like a game about ships, and I look at it being based in like the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s maybe, where ships ruled the world, basically. I mentioned how you can have fine hemp and trade it in for goods. Well, I've gotten some more information on this, and so I think I even sent over a picture. So the hemp, you can harvest it. You have to go to these islands in the game and find the hemp to harvest it. Okay, and here's the map. And so this island has hemp, and then you can see they have like little yellow hemp leaves if you look closely on the coast over on the other side. But anyway, you go there, you harvest the hemp, and then you can take that and you take it to a processor in the game, and they'll make it into fine hemp. But you can also then buy fine hemp from the vendors or settlements that you plunder. So you can buy it from vendors, or you can plunder a settlement and take their fine hemp. And so basically what it says is hemp is a plant fiber that is crucial in the production of many ships and furniture blueprints, and is heavily sought after in the early periods of the game. Kind of makes me want to join the game just so I can be in the early periods of it. You start out with a ship and 2 crew members, and then you have to build your ship empire, so to speak. But obviously, and again, 100% accurate to the history of hemp and the shipping. 100% accurate, which I love the fact that they're being so accurate when it comes to the importance of hemp at this time period and to sailing around the world successfully, one way or another. So it's pretty neat to see a game like this being true to hemp as they should, one way or another. An article titled 15 Benefits of Hemp from Heart Health to Climate Mitigation, which I love. It's a good movement there. Basically, what they say is the 4 nutritional benefits: high in protein, full of vitamins and minerals, rich in fiber, good source of omega-3, all being true. 6 health benefits: it's heart healthy, reduces blood pressure, decreases clot formation, and can help recover after an attack. Reduces inflammation in the body. It's great for brain health, healthy skin, relief of autoimmune conditions, and can reduce PMS and menopause symptoms. Another reason why hemp should be in more foods. Hemp should be in as much food as corn is, because we don't even digest corn, but corn is in like 40% of the foods at the grocery store. At least it was. I might have to do that research again. Hopefully it's come down as we realize that corn is, high fructose corn syrup, all that stuff is, our bodies don't even digest it. It's like a binding agent that they use. And, I love corn on the cob every once in a while, but once again, it's just like you eat it because it tastes good, not because you're going to get any nutritional value out of it, because we do not get any nutritional value out of corn. So hemp, on the other hand, obviously has an unbelievable amount of nutritional value. So if we could have 40% of the foods using hemp in them in the grocery store, once again, humans would be healthier. They wouldn't need to know why. They wouldn't have to brag about eating hemp. They just would be. That's the goal. It's always been the goal, to replace everything we can with hemp on the planet. And then the planet is a much better place. Humans are a much better place. And no one has to run around saying, yeah, hemp did it. It just did it. And it's good. Good. I don't need to take credit. No one needs to take credit. Hemp doesn't care. It just wants to do what it's supposed to do for the human race, which was something it did for thousands and thousands of years. Thousands and thousands of years. And so, get with it. And then the 5 environmental benefits: absorbs CO2, supports healthy soil, resource efficient, uses a lot less water to process the fiber, supports biodiversity. It produces pollen from July to September, where a lot of plants aren't producing pollen. And so it's very important, honestly, for the bees and the butterflies and all those pollinators that need pollen to survive. Just like a lot of, if the bees go away or the pollinators go away, so do we. We will have no food product, or very little food product. And it's a terrible, terrible thing to happen. And of course, it also uses minimal pesticides. It really doesn't need, I've probably said it 100 times on the show, when you grow for grain or you grow for the fiber, it doesn't need any pesticides. Honestly, I don't see, you're just wasting pesticides if you think you need to use them on those crops. Obviously, if you're growing for the flour, that's more important, one way or another. And again, that's a whole different genre of farming that is, relatively new to the hemp, but the CBD is still a large grower or supporter of industrial hemp, I should say, as far as farming goes. And I have more on that. I've got good news on that coming up. So Ecofiber, I've talked about them. They've kind of been in the news recently. They're in Australia. Okay. They're selling their food business, which is Anata Foods, to Elixinol, and I don't know how I feel about that. but it's Elixinol Wellness for $3 million, which doesn't even really seem like a lot. But one of the benefits of the deal is Anata Foods has the world-leading intellectual property database of hemp seed genetics. So I don't know what that really truly means, but it's obviously important to the future of hemp, because genetics are important depending on whether you're growing for CBD, whether you're growing for fiber, whether you're growing for grain, this, that, and all the other. They also claim that Eco MS77, the variety, okay, this is a variety, a cultivar of hemp, is widely considered to be the best fiber genetic in the U.S., based on yield and the ability to grow in all of the U.S.'s latitudes. So apparently from the south to the north, it's very successful at growing for hemp fiber. Okay, the material, the clothing that I wear, car that we just saw has hemp fiber in it. Fiber insulation can be made out of. There's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of use just for the fiber alone. That we've talked about. Circuit boards made out of hemp fiber, batteries, graphene, I should say specifically, graphene made out of hemp fiber. And so, the fiber is it's not just great because it can replace cotton, which is one of the worst of all the agricultural crops on the planet, one of the worst when it comes to the use of chemicals and the amount of water it takes to process. That's the main reason, but there are thousands of sub main reasons why we need to be growing as much hemp fiber as we can. And obviously this Eco MS77 variety is one of the ones that you want to get involved with. You want to find out if you're growing for fiber, you better check into that. And then, of course, it says their food products that they produce include flour, protein, seed, and seed oil. And so, once again, important. Australia has not been, the entire country, just within maybe the last 5 years or so, has legalized industrial hemp all over the country. There have been regions of Australia that have been growing industrial hemp for 20 years. And the food part of it is really catching on as much as the hempcrete too, because I've seen some hempcrete, like one company over there was making large hempcrete blocks to build with, all kinds of stuff. And so, this is it's a great product for Australia and a great product for the world, one way or another. Little hemp history I came across. Some of this I already knew. Some of it was new to me. But if you don't know, the Magna Carta, the original King James Bibles, the ones that were, my understanding is the King James Bible was one of the first books mass produced by Gutenberg. Okay. Gutenberg was using hemp paper in almost all of his, I believe, original printing press. I don't know. I'm going to have to look into it, but I feel like Gutenberg may have been the inventor of the printing press, which was able to produce books on a larger scale. Up until then, I'm almost guessing that they either had to, stamp them out page by page, or write them out page by page, if you wanted a copy of a book. But the Gutenberg press definitely sped up production of mass producing books. The King James Bible was one of those. And so if you're lucky enough to have a original Gutenberg King James Bible, you've got a hemp book. But I bet those are super valuable. I've never tried to see how much an original Gutenberg King James Bible might go for, but I might be interested to see. I wouldn't be surprised somehow if I find out that one went at auction for like $1 million or something. So, putting it up there with possibly one of the most expensive hemp products ever made. And of course, the drafts, not the end result of the Declaration of Independence, but the drafts of the Declaration of Independence here in the United States were written on hemp paper. And this is one that I don't know that I knew for sure, but apparently Rembrandt, all of Rembrandt's masterpieces were done on hemp canvas. And so, again, huge history. And again, back then, those were just the options. It wasn't a choice. That was paper was made out of hemp. Canvas, the word canvas is derived from the word cannabis. Okay, because all the original canvases were made from hemp. That's some history too. True. Look it up. It's not fake. It's true. So apparently this drink, hemp hazed, apparently this was like a huge stock scam. Okay. And what's interesting is so if you invested in GBEN, they got you. They got you big. But there are 8 people that are being held accountable. Most of the people are from Texas, but for some reason or another, it was the Cleveland FBI that was investigating all of this and have brought charges against these 8 people. And apparently they, from the very beginning, like they bought GBEN, who was supposed to manufacture this hemp haze, hemp wine and drinks. This is actually like a tea, I suppose. But, they were supposed to manufacture these drinks. From the very beginning, the purchase was shady, and then everything they did after that was shady or illegal. When it came to boosting their numbers, like they sold themselves a bunch of cheap stock, and then made it look like the company was worth a lot more than it was, and then scammed people a lot of money, blah blah blah. And so, it's unfortunate. But in one sense, I guess, the good out of the bad is that hemp is becoming such a commodity that, people are getting shady with it, which, is not cool. But, does show how big the hemp industry and the hemp world is getting one way or another. So if you have GBEN stock, it's probably worth nothing now. Zero after everyone has been indicted one way or another. And apparently hemp haze, at least this version of hemp haze, will never be made one way or another. Let's think they get it all figured out, which I don't think that they will either way. So this is pretty neat. The UK, or Britain specifically, seems to be really getting into hempcrete, but they're building what they're calling the largest timber home neighborhood, which I obviously have mixed feelings about. I don't like trees being cut down for any reason anymore. But they are building and again, this entire neighborhood is supposed to be like eco-friendly, which I really feel like the timber, I'm only hoping that it's all new growth as opposed to old growth, but still, do we really need to cut down trees to build neighborhoods anymore? I don't think so. But the good thing is it's timber and hempcrete. And so, I think that they're just going to build the structures of the house out of timber and then insulate them with hempcrete, which is great. It's going to be called the Phoenix. It's in Lewes, East Sussex. Can't say it. If you live over there, I'm sure you can. I can't. Apparently, I can't pronounce that word well. And again, it's an environmentally thing. Like no cars in the entire neighborhood, and they're gonna, if cars that like the Ubers or whatever to pick people up and take places will be electric one way or another. And so it really is, a large scale, environmentally friendly subdivision, really, that's getting built out of these timber homes in Hempcrete. So once again, it's pretty neat, and they're kind of taking there. And I've been seeing this more and more. Like I haven't seen France getting so much credit for Hempcrete than in like the last year. And what I've learned is France started this, and I kind of knew this. And honestly, I knew it was a while back, but it was actually in the '80s that France started these, this kind of large scale drive to use hemp, especially in rebuilds of old homes, all the way up to the gendarme boxes that the police, go and hang out in the cities. And so, and one of the reasons that I knew about the gendarme boxes is because they were flame retardant and just really nice. And of course, there is a large residential building built out of Hempcrete in France. And the residents, and I've talked about it on the show, the residents tout the building about how well it's insulated. It's cooler in the summers, and it's warmer in the winters. And they get some brutal summers in France. I don't know, how brutal their winters are, to be honest with you. But they get some brutal summers, pretty hot summers, one way or another. And, it was, and if I remember correctly, this was kind of a low income housing building that was built there. Again, saving on the costs of heating and cooling is great. Every building should obviously be built at a hempcrete if it can be, one way or another. So we got the numbers for hemp farming for 2023, and they pretty much stayed status quo. We grew about the same amount of hemp in 2023 as we did in 2022. The interesting part is, the great part of these numbers that we found is that CBD was down, and that's not a bad thing because there's plenty of CBD still getting grown. We're not going to run out of CBD or any of the other byproducts that we get from CBD flower, but fiber is up. So we went from about 6,500 to 7,000 acres up to 10,000 acres of fiber being grown in 2023. And so, next year, let's do 5,000 more. And again, if we exponentially just keep doing that, once again, we'll be growing all the fiber that we need to replace all the materials that we need. We'll also have all the shiv, or the herd, as they like to call it in the hemp industry, for hempcrete, because you can be both. It should be both. If you grow for the fiber, there is zero reason why you can't use that outer part of that bulk to sell that to somebody to process it or whatever, to make it into hempcrete material, make it into a press board, just like my desk is made out of, and so many other things that we can use that herd in. I think it even hemp composite possibly might use some of that herd as much as the fiber and whatnot. And so the plastics that we can produce, it's important too. And so, it really is, there's no reason for someone that's growing for fiber to not pass that herd on. And if you're growing for the herd, for that matter, if you're growing for the biomass for hempcrete, again, you're going to have all kinds of fiber left over to get into the material. And the obstacle right now, which we're slowly taking care of, is the manufacturing, is the processing. I've talked about many processors and manufacturers of the fiber and the shiv in the United States, and they're popping up everywhere. Indiana has a huge facility now. North Carolina, I think it was Idaho, out west, and so these processors for the fiber and the herd, the shiv, they're obviously important in being able to turn that fiber into material and not have to bring it over from China. I feel like Canada may have been somewhere where we were getting herd before, but really we've kind of because hempcrete has become so popular, paralleling, is that even a word? I don't know. Running parallel to hemp becoming legal in the United States. We weren't really importing that too much before because we weren't really building with hempcrete. Now it's become huge. Honestly, hempcrete is become a huge interest in construction, not just because it's environmentally safe and sustainable, that because it's actually superior. It's a better crete, antimicrobial, antibacterial. It's lighter, which is why I think one reason why, again, we can't use it for load bearing. But we're working that out. We will have a hempcrete recipe very soon that we will hopefully be accepted for load bearing, and then you'll be able to use hempcrete from everything. Be able to make the walls completely out of hempcrete if it's load bearing. And so hempcrete is awesome. It is, again, it's like an unbelievable great resource that, once again, if we can just replace all the concrete in the world with hempcrete, the planet much better place, humanity much better place. It's unbelievable, and we're moving that way. Again, it is I think it's one of the fastest, if not the fastest growing industry in all of hemp right now, when it comes to interest and viability and use. It's just been accepted as an acceptable building material in 49 out of 50 states in the United States, and internationally on the International Building Symposium or laws or policies, I should say. It's been accepted there, and again, it's really incredible, honestly. There's no doubt that that interest and movement is huge, and again, that helps the fiber industry, because once again, if we're going to start needing and having to have this supply of hemp herd, that outside part of the hemp stalk for hempcrete, again, we got that fiber left over, and that's got to go into anything we can do. If it's short fiber, say the plants weren't very tall, it's short fiber, then again, make fiber insulation out of it, or bedding or padding. I've seen padding a lot. If it's long fiber, well, then we should be making materials out of it, because that's the strongest natural material that you can make any type, or fiber that you can make any type of material out of. So again, it's one of the reasons why it was the canvas of choice in the shipping world for so long. And again, you can weave hemp as smooth as silk or as rough as burlap. That's something I've always known. I sleep on. I've got hemp silk pillowcases, and it's interesting. Is if you look at it, you can see, like, every once in a while you might see like a little hemp knot, like where it just couldn't be woven. But for the most part, the material can be woven as thin as silk. And again, that leads to an endless amount of material from a 2 ounce material to, and I think I've seen as low as like a 4 ounce, which means really thin, light material, all the way up to 20 ounce canvas, 30 ounce canvas, which is super thick and super strong. And so, linen is made out of flax traditionally, but I've got my Dolce and Gabbana. Basically, if you look at it, you would probably you would think it was linen made from flax, but it's really linen made from hemp. And so, the amount of materials, um, from jeans material to linen material to silk material to all these things, it's quite endless. And seeing that we are increasing that fiber growth here in the United States is great. Again, it was the whole reason why I started this journey 30 years ago. And then food went to the top of the list as a reason. Now it's the herd is just as important. So it's all parts of the plant. But originally, I really wanted hemp to be legal to replace cotton, because cotton has destroyed the soil and everywhere that we have grown cotton in the world. And if we could even cut that production in half, honestly, the planet would be so much better. It's funny that the cotton industry had they were like touting the natural fiber, again, kind of trying to fight against the plastic synthetic fiber, which we obviously have a huge issue with now because of the nanoplastics that have made their way into the deepest parts of the ocean, to the tallest, highest peaks of the mountains. And basically that's coming from the use of synthetic material in clothing and all kinds of things. It has a purpose in the world, but it may be like 5%. Like there's zero reason why your clothing need to be made out of some synthetic fiber. That's really, you have synthetic waste when you do that. And now you have these nanoparticles of plastic that once again are finding their way all over the planet. And it's not good. It's not good. And it's unnecessary. It's really unnecessary. I think we can move beyond that now without, degrading what we do. We can make football jerseys and basketball jerseys out of hemp, I think, honestly. All that athletic wear. And again, synthetic clothing, it's huge, huge. I mean, if we could reduce the cotton clothing and the synthetic clothing industry and boost the hemp clothing industry, it would be, once again, great benefits to the planet itself and humanity. It's just much cleaner. It takes about a third of the acres, from my understanding, to grow the same amount of cotton. And it takes like an nth of the water to process that. And so, there's part of the hemp being made illegal conspiracy is the fact that when it happened in 1937 under the Marijuana Tax Act, it made it illegal to grow industrial hemp in this country. That was also the same year that DuPont invented the first synthetic fiber. Now, I'm not, you can say correlation, you can say causation. There's no proof anywhere that DuPont ever said we're going to invent this and we're going to make hemp illegal, because it would be our strongest competition. But as far as irony goes, coincidence maybe, the fact that again, that's how the timeline went down. I've always said that if you believe in conspiracies, the conspiracy to make hemp illegal in 1937 by again, synthetic fiber, the timber industry, all paper up until the early 1900s for the most part was made out of hemp. And then all of a sudden it's being made out of trees, because we think that because you come across these vast millions of acres of trees, that it's okay to just start cutting them down and make something that's been made out of hemp for 2,000 years just because you think you have the resource. I'm not even sure how, that was appropriate, but that was William Randolph Hearst. Okay. Is it also interesting that the Hearst publications were the ones that ran headlines about how, black people were smoking marijuana and raping white women, and they put out this huge propaganda against marijuana because Mexicans were using it and black people were using it, and the Drug Enforcement Agency, which actually Anslinger, it wasn't even invented yet, really, as far as that goes. They were kind of running out of things to do, and all of a sudden, Henry Anslinger's touting about how marijuana is the assassin of youths. I just found my old Reader's Digest from way back in the day that had the assassins of youth little part of it. And again, Henry Anslinger was another part of the whole propaganda against it. There's another part of that, whereas, if you didn't know, diesel fuel was originally invented, okay, when Adolf Diesel invented diesel fuel, he was making it out of all natural substances, hemp, corn, it was a biodiesel. All of a sudden, the petrochemical companies say, well, we can make diesel fuel out of oil, and we think we have an endless supply of oil. So all of a sudden, diesel fuel is actually then started to be made out of petrochemicals as opposed to all natural, sustainable material, so to speak. Again, there's a diesel engine right now, from my understanding, that you can pour hemp oil right into, and it works just as well. Hemp oil has a very high flash point, and that's why it's good for a fuel. It's not good for cooking with at high heat. Be careful there. But as far as a fuel goes, it's a great fuel because it has a high flash point. The rumor was that Abraham Lincoln was reading by a hemp oil lamp in Kentucky back in the day. I have a hemp oil lamp. When my grandparents had some hemp oil, or some oil lamps that I now have. And when I found one, it was empty. I filled it up with hemp oil, let the wick soak it in, lit it, bim, bam, boom. It doesn't have the greatest smell to it, I should say, when it's burning, but for providing light off a natural oil that's sustainable, it worked just fine. Just fine. Perfectly, actually. Maybe next week, the one from my door, I'll show that again. I know I've shown it before, or maybe I'll show that again, one way or another. So, all right, we just got these new Nike Dunk Lows to show you. Get everybody on their way, maybe, but they're actually doing 2 new colorways in the hemp Nikes. This is the first one. And again, this is kind of interesting because it's got like hemp canvas on the bottom. It looks like just a hemp material on the midsoles and the tongues. And so this one, they're really, I think, using quite a bit of hemp in. And again, it's kind of a neat. I kind of like this color combination, one way or another. Now this next one, I think they're really just using, because if I read correctly, and this just kind of kills me, is that this is like a combination of leather and hemp, and so I don't know if that's, again, that doesn't really look to me like it's leather, but I think that and again, I have some Dunk Lows that are 10, 15 years old. This is one of the shoe styles that they predominantly tend to drop a hemp fabric version of, or put hemp fabric in. Sometimes, it's been as little as like the tongue and the back piece were made out of hemp. Sometimes it's as much as 50% of the shoe being made from hemp. I think that there's a decent desire, love or hate Nike, one way or another. But I think that they learned that one, they can probably brag about being a little bit more of an environmentally friendly shoe company if they use hemp in their shoes, and I think that helps with their reputation. I have a Nike hemp hat and Nike hemp jacket that were prototypes when they were working on an eco line that I don't know that they ever actually. I've never looked into it to see if there's actually a distinctive Nike eco line of goods. I guess I should. And if not, they should. And if they do, I'm hoping that a lot of that is hemp related. But even if it's not, that's great, one way or another. I feel like, and I don't think I sent a picture over of a pair of Sauconys, did I? Um,
Let me see.
I might have to save that for next week's show because I do feel like Saucony is in fact.
This is the only other
Uh,
one I have. It's the only other
no,
picture I have.
that's the hemp and leather one there. That's
Okay.
the one you can clearly see that yellow is leather, and then the material, I believe, the other material is hemp. So that's the leather and hemp one, which is like, oh my gosh. Uh, Soon, hopefully, they'll be using hemp leather, which I've talked about on the show and being developed. I guess I'm going to have to save that Saucony hemp collab. And again, Saucony, their vegan line of shoes is predominantly hemp, and this was a mashup between I forget who at this point, and I can't believe that I forgot to send that picture over because I don't think, yeah, I don't even think I have it. Oh, wait a minute. That was actually the first shoe that we showed. I'm sorry. So if we go back to the picture of the the three pictures
Yeah.
together. I'm sorry. That was actually. I guess I forgot to put that on my. There it is. Those are actually Sauconys. Sorry about that, folks.
Okay.
Um, these are the Saucony mashup using hemp, and again, Saucony. They do a great job of using hemp and making it. Again, they have a vegan shoe line, which is great for any vegans. And also, that vegan shoe line uses almost all hemp for the uppers. You've seen them here on the show. In the What Are You Wearing Beach? I've worn my Saucony Jazz vegan line more than once. I have a couple different pairs, different colorways. So this is I'm sorry to insult Saucony by calling them Nikes back in the day or back early in the show. I take it all back. These are the Saucony hemp shoes. Those two Nikes shown after that, those are the new Nike hemp colorways that are coming out. So good on both for for doing the right thing there. Not a whole lot of events. There may be at least maybe one more of the Alabama Department of Agriculture industrial hemp meetings in February. You can go to their website and check those out. This weekend coming up in Atlanta on the 24th, you have the Atlanta Hemp World Festival from 12 to 8 at the Westside Cultural Arts Center. So if you're down there, you want to check that out. Might be a little late to get to India or Mumbai at this point, but that's also this weekend, the 24th and 25th, is the India Hemp Expo. And then February 29th, the Indigenous Cannabis Industry Association will host the Wisconsin Cannabis Industry and Policy Summit at the Ho Chunk Casino and Hotel in Baraboo, Wisconsin. And so, again, that's February 29th. It's not too late to make your plans for that. If you're anywhere around or live in Wisconsin and you want to know what's maybe going on with Wisconsin hemp, I don't think you have to be a Native American or indigenous, I should say. I'm going to stop. I like the term Native American, but recently, because I'm really into indigenous peoples, the history of it. Supposedly, we have a tiny amount in our bloodline. I'm mostly European. Either way, what was interesting is I saw an indigenous person mention that they are not Native Americans, because guess what? They were here for thousands of years before this was America.
Yeah.
And so, I've never called them Indians, except for maybe when I was young, because the reason that Europeans called them Indians is because they thought they were in India when they got here. Okay, that's the only reason why Indians were called Indians when the Europeans got here, is because the stupid Europeans thought they were in India. Okay, I use the term Native American because I think that, that shows their true roots here, because they were native to America, but it wasn't America until 300 or 400 years ago. Okay, and so they were natives. I mean, I probably will just shorten that to natives, or referring to them as indigenous people, because they were indigenous to the area for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years before it was America. Anyway, that's my non-hemp rant for the end of the show. That's my beach thought non-hemp rant to end the show. And I will have to go look into it, but there was a Native American tribe that did start growing hemp once the Europeans brought here. That was actually referred to as the hemp shirt natives, or the hemp shirt Indians, that I've come across in my studying of all things indigenous when it comes to America or whatnot. Either way. So, all right, there you have it. Thanks everybody for watching the High Noon Hemp Show today. Remember, reduce, reuse, recycle. Make everything else out of hemp. Having Hemptations.
See y'all next week.